What, tarnation? I meant to do that.
Howdy folks, this is Apple Geek, and we are up to Season 9, Episode 17. Still spoiler free, but I've been getting some positive buzz about this particular episode from some of my friends, saying they can't wait for me to see it. Of course, that happens a lot, but always fun to hear that, so yeah, looking forward to this one. Without any further ado, Episode 17, starting now. Yes!
Where you going?
Since you three were unable to retrieve my bewitching bell, we need another source of great magical power to defeat Twilight and her friend.
Oh, what might that be? Well, she knows about lots of artifacts.
He's gone!
Oh.
I don't trust him.
None of us do.
Which is why double-crossing him with his own bell will be so satisfying.
If we can figure out how to use it.
Twilight Sparkle may be the worst, but she does know stuff. She once said the archives in Canterlot has a restricted area.
Oh no.
Celestia and Luna love to hoard information for themselves. If there's an answer, it's there.
My triumphant
And-
return to Canterlot? I like the sound of that.
And say she's good at infiltration.
Trip.
And we're off on the road to friendship, or not friendship, I didn't know what you call this, but oh boy. I'm so glad we're getting another story advancement on this before, you know, getting towards the end of the season here. Oh, what are they going to find in this restricted section? I've been waiting to explore that a little more here, so, good thing I got some Red Bull for this one. This could be full of shenanigans. Okay, what's the title of this one? Oh, we're in Canterlot.
Sorry to interrupt. We know you're busy planning the Summer Sun celebration as we requested.
Oh, that again!
Oh, things seem calmer
Summer Sun
than we would
Setback.
have expected.
No complaints here.
With the exception of the odd trivia night, I've made a lot of progress since the royal swanifying ceremony. You may not know this about me, but I occasionally freak out.
She acknowledged it!
I wanted to show you with the Summer Sun
Continuity!
celebration how much I've improved. So I focused on delegating and trusting others. It's been great.
That's
She's
actually
getting
what
it!
we came to talk to you about. This may be the last Summer Sun
Uh-oh.
celebration you'll need to plan.
What?
Did I do something wrong?
Of course not. It's just that the celebration has always been about us. My defeat of Luna.
And thanks to you and your friends,
still can.
my reunion with my sister.
Now
So?
that we're leaving, we don't see a need for the holiday any longer.
Oh, come
Now
on.
that you're...
My sister and
Wait,
I
wait.
have decided the time for us to retire is upon us. You and your friends have proven
they're not
you're
leaving
ready to leave
Equestria.
Equestria. So let this be the last Summer Sun celebration as Equestria leaves behind the old to embrace the new.
I thought this would be in the finale. What's the finale gonna be?
My goodness. How
Oh.
are you feeling about all this? Something like this could definitely send you into full freaky outy mode. I'm actually fine. But if this is going to be the last Summer Sun celebration,
Make it
I
a
wanna
big
make
one.
sure it's the best celebration ever.
Please don't get us more work. Please don't give us more work.
So even though everything was done, I thought of a few last-minute changes I could use your help with.
Oh boy.
Oh, the end of a beloved holiday.
Yes! Yes!
Minute changes to a celebration? That sounds positively chaotic.
Oh, it's been too long since we've seen him.
I've known Celestia and Luna longer than any of you. I terrorized them, they turned me into stone. If this is the last Summer Sun situation,
Nice.
I simply can't miss it. Will
Of
I
course
arrive
not.
just in time for the Twilight gives her friends an impossibly long and overly detailed list predicament.
I
She's
guess
not gonna
some
do that.
Draconequist isn't the know-it-all he thinks he is.
Oh! Very simple, short lists.
This is it? What?
We were kinda with Discord on this one.
No
Normally
more
the list is
lists.
down the
No
floor and
more
out the door.
With your help, I know we've
Didn't mean to rhyme that.
Oh, character growth is so boring.
Oh.
Do I at least get my own note card?
There.
What did she...
Now I need to go rewrite.
What did she give him?
But if you all look at your cards, you'll see.
Can't talk now. Have so much to get done before sunrise.
Okay, and he took them with him. All right.
Why are so many ponies up in the middle of the night?
It's that silly sun holiday.
How many holidays do you ponies have? Getting into the castle
Many.
won't be a problem.
Are you sure about that?
They've still got those? Do they still have the geese?
You. But even so,
Do they still have his geese? Oh, very clever.
transfer. Have to head inside. Open up.
And... oh, okay. Oh!
Right, of course.
You know.
Do yours get glitchy too? More medallions, more problems, am I right?
This voice, by the way.
Increase security into the castle. This is going to be more challenging than I thought.
Uh-huh. What do you know? Some of the measures actually worked.
Go popping us all over the place, please.
Time is of the essence. Let's go team!
Will these storylines converge quickly?
What we're doing before we go and do it.
Pinky, you and I are giving Brayburn and the Appalachian Pony some adjustments to the menu.
Fluttershy and I are meeting the Pegasi from Cloudsdale to give them changes to the weather.
Spike, we're going to update the Flaming Sky Firework Unicorn Troop with Twilight's new vision.
And I'm supposed to make sure Discord doesn't do anything discordy? Well, that's annoyingly specific.
Increased security on a crowded holiday with Twilight and her friends bumbling around? This is impossible.
You picked the wrong day to do this.
This is perfect. We need a distraction, and those ridiculous ponies just gave it to us. Now, do exactly as I tell you.
Oh boy. I have no idea where this is going at this point.
Step away from the wagons! We're on official food tasting business!
Wow.
It ain't
Okay.
gonna be easy. I
Brayburn!
think we can whip up these new cookies Twilight wants before sunrise.
We haven't seen him in forever.
Handle some last-minute bacon, Brayburn. It's y'all.
We brought plenty for the celebration. If she keeps
This
guessing,
is-
we might be in trouble.
But I see a suspicious-looking cookie!
Oh, Pinky. Oh, here we go again.
You okay?
I feel weak all of a sudden.
Is some pony back there?
How is this keeping a low profile?
What is it?
Every pony, get away from the food till we figure out what's going on.
Oh, okay. That's actually kind of clever.
The princess wants what?
Who's this guy?
What's on that little card? No big deal.
No big deal. It's a much more aggressive weather pattern than what was originally ordered. This is very irregular. We'll need to... No, but first we must... Wait, we...
Take a breath. Let it out slowly.
Tell the princess we will do our best.
We're sure you're doing an excellent job.
Oh,
This
yeah,
pony got a name?
totally. You're not gonna panic and screw it up at all.
Way to help Prima.
Situations.
Golly. Sounds like you need some help.
Oh.
Who are you?
Some pony who's organized enough to handle the small stuff so you can focus on the big picture.
I figured everybody knows who she is.
Yes.
I guess not.
Sounds right.
This kind of weather has to be handled delicately. Good thing I'm here. I'll take care of everything.
Oh boy. I think it's safe to say this Summer Sun celebration is going to be one to remember.
Is a marvel.
We take pride in what we do.
Whoa!
Last-minute changes aren't too
That is a cool
challenging,
pony
are they?
design.
The more challenging, the better. We aim to astound. Now, if you don't mind, we do have a new routine to prepare. Horns at the ready!
I expect lots of fan art of her. Oh, back to that bug pony
Very
again.
impressive.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have no room for any pony else at this time. I'm sorry.
Crackle Cosette. And I don't want
Crackle Cosette. Wow.
Pardon me?
Ooh.
I meant no offense. It just seems a pity for unicorns to waste their talents on something so inconsequential.
Oh.
Unicorns
Ouch.
wield magic. We are the most powerful ponies in the land. Don't you ever feel you're destined for more than performances?
It's all coming together.
Really, it's that
I
easy.
really think this is going to be the best
Okay.
summer sun celebration ever.
You've done an outstanding job.
Or, like I said, the most memorable at least.
Outstanding job.
And what
Aww.
about me?
That was a great
You'll be
group hug.
happy to know
Hug.
that I have been watching myself all night, and I have yet to do one discordy thing.
Now that truly is amazing.
Twilight, we know you had difficulties using the amulet to raise the sun and moon. We thought perhaps a
Yes!
practice session before the festivities. might
Oh,
be-
we're doing this again. Yes.
A good idea.
Indeed.
Thank you all so much.
I sure am proud of her.
Yeah, she finally realizes things will turn out fine, even when she isn't micromanaging every little detail.
Brayburn? What's wrong?
Earth ponies. Sick. Food missing. Can't bake anything.
Something is wrong with the weather. Storms, hurricanes, fog. You name it. It's a disaster out there.
Rarity, please inform Her Highness that we will not be performing. A simple fireworks show is beneath us. We're better than that. What the? Everything was fine a minute ago.
Apparently, a lot
That
of
escalated quickly.
total chaos out there.
Discord.
What are you gonna do? Do about what?
What are you doing here?
Got these-
Turn Discord into a scapegoat.
Twilight.
Please let him transform me into a goat at some point.
We don't know what to do now that everything's all ready. I
Right.
guess I was too organized. I'll try to come up with a few last-minute errands for you before sunrise. Well, that's a relief.
Why we didn't tell her the truth?
Oh, Twilight is finally learning not to let her stress get the better of her. If she finds out everything went wrong, it could be devastating.
Oh, she would be so upset. She'll totally freak out.
Well, what do y'all suggest?
Like to fix it up.
This is a legitimate concern,
I guess.
but
We need a miracle.
We have a miracle, don't we?
I suppose I could fix everything. But isn't the real miracle here the miracle of teamwork?
I approve.
To grow.
Oh, come on! Discord is right. Twilight needs us. Whatever happened, we can fix this.
What did happen?
whoa.
A road trip ever!
I'd still really like to get a backstory for Cozy Glow. Can you please recognize this as
Doctor, I would have no idea what's
T-Rex
wrong.
magic
There's gotta
draining
be a
thing?
reason. Something got him all sick. Maybe the food?
I ate the food too!
Yeah, she ate all the food.
Toxic? Oh, no!
Pinky, you're fine.
I feel fine.
Yeah. So that one's debunked. Oh, she's just too dang adorable. Oh boy. Wonderbolts to the rescue.
I'm gonna be fired for sure. sure.
Rainbow Dash and the Wonderbolts will have all the weather rounded up any minute.
Or
not.
Ouch! Please let the geese be there. That would be amazing. Yes! Yes! Yes!
What about aiming for perfection?
We've set our
I can't believe they kept them, but I'm happy they're there.
higher than putting on a silly little show for the other ponies.
But you were so excited before. What changed?
Yes, what indeed? Oh boy. Okay, changing of the... Oh! I should have seen that one coming.
You two just enjoy the festivities. I have a few surprises in store for... Yes, Discord?
Oh, well, don't mind me. I'm just here for the chaos. Oh, and here we go.
What is Rainbow Dash doing? Pinky,
What is that?
Is this soup? Yes, I was really hungry.
No pony understands wanting to take pride in
Okay.
your work more than I do.
You could do more with your magic than make frilly dresses.
Oh, no, she
Really
didn't!
anymore. This season is actually all about simplicity.
Not the point, Bernie! Princess! I beg your forgiveness. It's entirely my fault.
What is?
Okay, what's this all gonna come to here?
Just a slight hiccup in the weather.
Well, that was quick.
What is going on?
I told y'all this was a bad idea, but no pony ever listens to me!
That's it.
Wow! Okay. Alright, confession time.
Everything was fine. What is going on?
Everything was going fine.
Until it totally wasn't. We tried to fix it ourselves. Why didn't you tell me?
You know, this is like the reverse
I want you to freak out.
problem. Normally, Twilight's the one not
Everything was a total
using her friends.
disaster with
Now
a
they're not.
boy to freak out.
Yeah.
When you say it like that, it sounds like a really bad plan.
Here it comes.
Nope.
I know how I used to react, but I really have changed.
Yes!
Panicking won't solve anything.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
But we can handle whatever problems come our way, as long as we handle them together.
Spoken like a true leader. How can we help?
I love a good to-do list. So tell me exactly what happened so we can figure out exactly what to do to fix it.
Alright, my feelings about Twilight have done a complete 180 from the last episode. She really did learn her lessons. Many of them. Interesting. Okay. Technique. I just get Tempest. She'll put on a fireworks show. Okay, what are they gonna find here? Uh-oh. Oh, it's a book on the bell. Oh, this is not good. This is very, very not good. See a lot of familiar. Oh, Cheerlead was there. A lot of familiar Camelot faces here too. Whoa! That was awesome. Nice. Oh. Yes! Yes! She's doing it!
This celebration has always been a reminder not to fear the night, for there is always a new day to look forward to. But as we look towards Equestria's future, I am sad to say that today will be the last Summer Sun celebration. Because there is something even more important to celebrate. There are two ponies who have watched over us night and day.
She's creating new holiday!
Can remember, we will no longer commemorate their battle or their reunion. Instead, we will take this day to celebrate how much they mean to all of us. From this day forward, today will be known as the Festival of the Two Sisters.
Yes! Yes!
We don't know what to say.
Oh!
A brand new holiday? You're my kind of princess.
I'm just glad we pulled it off.
About that, we just wanted to say we're real sorry.
You did tell us you'd changed. As your friends, we should have trusted you. Next time you say you're not gonna freak out, we'll believe you.
Good, because I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of things I'll need my best friend's help with.
Yes! Oh! Glomp.
No, it really does seem like you just might be ready for whatever comes next, Your Majesty.
So, did you find what you're looking for?
Once again, I've found success where you all find failure.
What did he
I
find?
located what I sought, and tomorrow I will set out to retrieve it. When I return, Equestria will finally be ours for the taking.
Oh, stop pouting.
You knew you couldn't stay that buff. You had to return all the life force to those Earth ponies so Grogar doesn't suspect anything.
I don't have to like it.
Well, I don't like that we worked so hard to destroy their party and they still pulled it off. You don't see me complaining.
Our goal wasn't to destroy,
love these
it was
faces.
to distract. And now we have exactly what we need.
And no time to waste. We have to master the bell before Grogar returns.
We've managed to stay one step ahead of every pony so far.
You know, it really was super easy to get all those Earth ponies and Pegasi and unicorns to turn on each other.
It was, wasn't it? Now that is something to think about.
Oh! Oh! They're gonna try and turn back the clock and sow the seeds of disharmony between the tribes again. Oh! Oh! Okay, this is a lot to process. Stay tuned, guys. As always, I'll be right back. Okay, how's this for continuity? Immediate references in this episode to the trivia incident that just happened in the last episode, and also the events of Between Dusk and Dawn from a little earlier this season. And with Twilight noting that aside from the trivia game, she's made a lot of progress since then, since she learned about how she needed to delegate. And here she is, busy planning one of the biggest annual festivals in all of Equestria, the Summer Sun Celebration, and she's doing it calmly and peacefully, as opposed to freaking out and having all manner of chaotically organized planners and schedules and dioramas and whatever else you might dream up. You know, for that matter, she's handling everything on her own, delegating tasks properly and calmly and stuff, and not working Spike to a frazzle with all kinds of crazy demands and such. So he actually gets a chance to relax once for a little bit. That's kind of rare. And even Celestia and Luna are just shocked at how calm and peaceful everything actually is, even with the celebration very close. And I mean, it basically all amounts to, who are you and what have you done with Twilight? Now, before I get too far into this, I feel like I need to back this up a little bit. I've actually been made aware of some of the comments on my last reaction by way of my channel manager, who fills me in on some of the stuff while keeping spoilers at bay and stuff. Most of the comments on my videos are no big deal, but there are occasionally those that just make me shake my head a little bit over the raw anger being conveyed through them. And a very, very small percentage are actually like that, but there are ones that just make me wonder. And of course, some of those could be just from trolls and stuff, but I have no way of knowing. And I gotta say, I just find it rather ironic that on the last episode of all episodes, people would get so worked up over a character flaw, because the lesson in that very episode is about not getting too obsessed with and emotionally invested in something that is rather trivial in the grand scheme of things. And yes, I'm also aware of the irony of me making that statement, given how carried away I can get in my reactions and such, but that's why I love doing these commentaries too, because it gives me a chance to cool down from those emotional highs and try to look at things objectively. I personally feel like there's far too much emphasis put on emotional outbursts in the world today, and while emotions are very important, they can also blind us and prevent us from fully understanding all aspects of a situation, so it's always a good idea to try and balance that out with a little bit of logic. Now, of course, I realize that a lot of people out there, myself included, feel very close to a lot of these characters, and we can have a hard time seeing them make bad mistakes like this, which makes us very frustrated or even downright angry at times, and sometimes we feel the need to vent, which is very understandable. That said, you should be able to still appreciate the story and characters even if they don't always perform the way you want or expect. I'm not sure, there are plenty of flaws in this show, and I myself have plenty of issues with certain character portrayals and continuity errors and whatnot across various different episodes. And I do sometimes call out those things in commentaries. But when I analyze these episodes, I try to avoid focusing on those negative aspects too much, because doing that doesn't really make anyone happy, I don't think at least, and it detracts from the lessons to be learned. Rather than getting too focused on a character's action, or on how a character's actions made me feel, I try to understand what led to them acting that way in the first place, because quite often there's a lot more to these situations and the characters than meets the eye at just an initial glance. That doesn't mean I'm trying to find a way to excuse their bad behavior, but rather I'm trying to understand and empathize with what led them to that point, because we all go through bad moments in life where we go a little crazy sometimes. And even if we reach a point where there's no logical explanation for the character's actions, at the end of the day, what we learn from watching the show is what's most important. The thing that makes me feel really let down over an episode, like really the only way an episode is just really truly bad for me, is when the writers miss the mark on presenting a clear moral lesson that we can benefit from. Non-compete clause is one such recent example of this. There are others, but I'm not going to dwell on this too much. Now, coming back to Twilight's issues, I do agree. Like I said, that things probably didn't need to go quite as far as they did with Pinky in that trivia game. But the fact is that this was a huge character flaw that has kind of plagued Twilight since day one, well, since before day one, and one that needed to be dealt with in order for her to properly handle all these new responsibilities that she's taking on. This is the one big thing that could really hold her back from reaching her true potential, and sometimes flaws like this can only be properly dealt with when they're brought into focus so strongly that they basically punch you in the face hard enough to knock some sense into you. This is what's known as learning the hard way. I think it's safe to say that Twilight has long known that her emotions get out of control at times, but the consequences of this flaw have apparently never been truly bad enough that she finally confronted this flaw and made a concentrated effort to fix it, at least until now. I also think that Twilight really has finally taken this lesson to heart, because she knows now that if she cannot get her emotions under control, she will fail miserably when facing all the stresses and demands of ruling all of Equestria, and she simply cannot afford to do that. And the proof of this is right here in this episode, where she stayed cool and collected throughout this entire mess and even handled the cleanup like an absolute pro. And how did she do this? By delegating, of course. See? She's learning! She identified each of the issues they were facing and delegated tasks suited to the strengths of all of her friends, including Discord and even Celestia and Luna. That right there shows huge growth on her part, because, go back just a season or two, and she wouldn't dare ever issue orders to, or even requests like that to her mentors, And, even just the way that she took a moment here to take a breath and calm her nerves right after all these problems were dumped in her lap, that kind of reminded me of back in Games Ponies Play, back in Season 3, where Princess Cadence was kind of coaching Twilight on how to stay calm when presented with these highly stressful situations. So basically, in just this one episode, Twilight, to me at least, has proven that she truly has learned from all of her past trials, and that she now has all the qualifications needed to become the leader of the entire nation. Now, here's the interesting twist in this episode. Instead of Twilight stressing out over a sudden calamity, it was the rest of her friends that did so, both because of the chaos unfolding and because of how afraid they were of Twilight finding out and freaking out like she so often does or has done in the past. Now, honestly, I can't really fault them at all for thinking this way because, especially given that the Trivia Night incident was clearly just a fairly recent event. She's hardly had the chance to prove to anyone that she's now managed to overcome literally years of, turning into an emotional wreck in the face of stress. No offense to Twilight, but they really did need to see some proof that she had changed before they could believe her because of how well they know her and how they know the way that she could be. That said, it can still be argued that hiding the truth from her was a bad idea because all that really did was delay the inevitable and thus increase the chances of Twilight having a complete meltdown by giving her even less time than she might have otherwise had to try and fix things. And that aside, Twilight was the leader of the event and the lead organizer, and she deserved to know if things weren't going right so she could try to help fix them. Rather than trying to avoid a panic attack by keeping her in the dark, they should have looped her in and then helped to calm her down as needed and refocus on the issues at hand if things actually went that far with her. Which, in this case, they didn't. For the first time in forever, maybe? I don't know. It's rare. Oh, and as for Discord, this is an interesting one. Is providing great comic relief as always, and even helped out a little bit, which is fun to see. But that last scene with him, though, really makes me question just what exactly he knows about current events. Remember, Discord has, just like Q in Star Trek Next Generation with Captain Picard, he's slowly been training Twilight in his own unique way, guiding her towards certain realizations and solutions and pushing her to realize her full potential. We saw this again as recently as the Season 9 premiere, where he made her realize that she doesn't need the elements of harmony because her true power comes from within. Now here he was in this episode, observing the chaos that was unfolding and waiting anxiously again to see how Twilight would respond to it. And, given his actions, I think he was a little bit surprised to see her all just take it all in stride and avoid the panic attack for the first time in, like I said, forever, basically. But then at the end, he said, and this is an interesting quote, it really does seem like you just might be ready for whatever comes next, Your Majesty. I have two takeaways from that one line of dialogue. One is that he called her Your Majesty, which could be just him playing with words, but the way and the tone in which he said it makes me think that he's actually admitting that she's finally ready to rule Equestria in his eyes. The other thing is that he thinks she's now capable of handling whatever comes next. Keyword next. Now sure, something always comes next. There's always more problems just around the corner. That's life. Still, though, I think he knows a little more than he's letting on at this point. Keep in mind that Discord is the Lord of Chaos. You don't think he's the least bit suspicious as to what could have caused all the preparations for the festival to go south all at once like that? I don't know what the true extent of his power is, but I'm starting to wonder if Discord actually has the ability to see into the future a little bit, or like into the chaos that is all possible futures, and can see multiple possible outcomes to a particular series of events. This would certainly explain why he's been able to so wisely coach and guide Twilight along the way, because he can see how nudges in certain directions can dramatically change the course of certain events. And don't forget that based on what we saw back in Season 4, Discord also has the ability to sense imbalances in magical power levels, which allowed him to sense when T-Rex was stealing magic, thus him being able to track him down, which is why Celestia asked Discord to do that. This means that he really should have been able to notice that T-Rex is back and stealing magic again. Or at the very least, maybe it wasn't enough for him to notice, but at the very least, he should be aware of the fact that a being more powerful than all the past villains combined, pretty much, has appeared, namely Grogar. And, he also didn't seem to be that surprised by Sombra's return in the season premiere. But now, all that said, it's like, why hasn't he helped more? It's like, if he does have chaotic foresight, I would imagine that there's got to be some kind of limits to this power. And perhaps things are such that while he knows what's coming or what could be coming, he can't really warn them about it directly or help them directly. It might be too chaotic to really influence things too heavily because there's just too many factors in all the threads, the possible threads that could happen. But, you know, it might be just that he has to let things play out a certain way and not really get too heavily involved, at least until the time is just right. You know, it's honestly kind of a similar concept as to what we saw with Doctor Strange in the Avengers movies Infinity War and Endgame, where he looked at over 14 million possible outcomes and there was only one way that would work, you know? So he had to do some strange things along the way, no pun intended. He had to play things out a certain way that we wouldn't exactly have expected, just because that's the only way that it could work. I'm probably reading too much into that, but food for thought. On that note, let's take a look at the current villain scenario that's unfolding here. One thing that still bothers me about this is that none of the ponies seem to have any knowledge of the fact that T-Rex and Cozy Glow are no longer locked up in Tartarus. And do they not have guards that check in on them from time to time or something? Give them food, you know? And then there's also the fact that, you know, Grogar has returned, and nobody seems to be aware of that either, including Discord, at least that he's letting on. Now, you know, granted, this isn't really much different than previous villain attacks, where they've almost always been completely caught off guard when the attacks have been launched, but now we're actually getting to see the villains plotting and scheming leading up to this attack, which is really amping up the level of anticipation, as well as the realization of just how unprepared the ponies will be for whatever's coming. Not only that, but there's two villain plots occurring here, one with Grogar himself, and one with the others, like T-Rex, Chrysalis, and Cozy Glow. For the moment, Grogar still seems to be unaware of the fact that they have his bell, and now has apparently found a new source of magic power that he's going to go retrieve. What this power is, I have no idea, because unless I've missed something, no other big magical power has really been, or power source has been hinted at anywhere in the show recently. This makes me wonder if it's even really what he's doing or not, or, you know, maybe it's a case where he knows full well that they have the bell and is now counter scheming against them to find a way to not only get the bell back from them, but also to ensure that they will absolutely become loyal servants of his. You know, perhaps this mysterious power he's found doesn't really exist at all, and he's just intentionally misleading them as part of his master plan. But if this other power source is really a thing, then that makes me even more worried, because then he's got even more power at his disposal for whatever catastrophe is looming here. So, and unfortunately, there's really just not much more to go on for that at this point. So, just, you know, time will tell what happens. I have to see how it plays out. As for the other villains, they are certainly finding out just how well they can work together, pooling their skills and strengths effectively to achieve their goal. They managed to infiltrate one of the most secure facilities in all of Equestria and steal a book containing information about one of the most powerful magical items in all of Equestria. Not only that, they did so in complete stealth mode without once getting caught and revealed. Now, Chrysalis, of course, can sneak around pretty easily by changing forms, and it seems that Cozy Glow is far less of a known criminal than I had realized, since no pony in Canterlot seemed to recognize her. I guess, you know, just the way events played out, I guess her face wasn't actually that well known in the things that unfolded in Season 8, so just hadn't really thought about it much before. But anyway, it's obviously to her benefit, because she can still get away with certain things. T-Rex is obviously a bit more difficult, especially due to his size and the fact that he's growing, consuming magic, but even he managed to evade detection largely because he restrained himself in terms of how much magic he consumed and how big he got. You know, so again, they pooled their skills to work towards a common goal, very much like the main six do, which is a rather new concept for most of these villains. And at the end, it's interesting, T-Rex and Cozy were complaining a bit about not getting to, you know, get their petty little evil desires or wishes here, like T-Rex keeping the stolen magic, and Cozy Glow getting to see the festival ultimately fail after all her attempts at sabotage. However, Chrysalis actually made a really good point, as she noted that they succeeded in their true goal. Individually, each one of them has been too short-sighted to completely follow through on their own plans. But here, now they're thinking much bigger, and rather than launching one half-baked plan after the next, like Sombra did at the beginning of the season, and Chrysalis last season, they're actually starting to get smart and stay focused on their true goal of obtaining ultimate power. And another sign they're getting smarter is how Cozy Glow pointed out just how easy it was to manipulate the ponies into turning on each other. I feel like this has to be directly relevant to whatever's going to happen in the finale here. That's going to be part of their plan. And you know, I think we're going to see, at least briefly, you know, a level of racial disharmony amongst the tribes that hasn't been observed in Equestria for a very long time. Maybe not since Celestia and Luna first came to power. You know, of course, I can see that leading to one giant nationwide lesson in friendship to restore things to order, which is going to be truly a remarkable feat to pull off. And, you know, likely also involve all the other allied creature nations as well, since, you know, Twilight and Friends have positively affected all of them in one way or the other, and of course, having the students involved and such. And, you know, also I think this could lead to Twilight firmly establishing herself as the new leader of Equestria, and, you know, gaining the recognition and trust of everyone in Equestria and the allied nations as well. This is actually something that's been bugging me quite a bit, because it hasn't really been made clear in the story that Twilight is, you know, nationally or especially internationally recognized as a good leader. And I've been concerned that when coronation time rolls around, there's going to be a lot of unhappy ponies or other creatures that are going to stir up a lot of trouble because they don't think that she's actually deserving of or qualified for this role. However, a conflict at the scale that we're looking at here would certainly give her the perfect opportunity to show everyone what she's all about, and that she truly has what it takes to protect everyone and spread the message of peace, harmony, and friendship to all. Now, just to note, I'm still expecting there to be some kind of a, you know, some time travel stuff going on, and time bending or whatever, just with the hints that we've gotten. You know, I think we could see Gusty the Great and maybe even Scorpan make appearances in the midst of all of that, especially given how many references there's been to those two characters in the show as of late. More importantly, though, if there is any sort of like time travel to the past, then perhaps Twilight will be able to observe firsthand what things were like with the disharmony between the tribes, like before Equestria was even founded, thus allowing her to better understand present-day events and be able to come up with a plan to reunite not only the pony tribes, but all the creature nations, and, you know, perhaps usher in a new golden age of harmony across the world. And this is especially true if she's able to reform, or at least otherwise appropriately to deal with, all the remaining villains that we're aware of. Aside from Grogar, I think the others are definitely all reachable, especially since they seem to be learning a lot about friendship without even realizing that's exactly what they're doing. But of course, I do realize that a lot of people out there don't want them all to be reformed, and I do understand and respect that. For me personally, I kind of want to see them all reformed, except for maybe Grogar, because I don't know what his problem is. But you know, at this point, I'm not necessarily married to the idea. I'm just want there to be a decent, you know, ending, a solid ending for each of their stories. And as long as we get that, I'll be happy with whatever way it goes. At least I'll try to be happy. So yeah, that's the bulk of this episode. You know, good moral lesson, you know, about having faith and trust in your friends, as noted with, of course, the way Twilight's friends were keeping things from her and whatnot, and oddly also by the way that the villains were working together by putting trust in each other's unique talents and trusting that they wouldn't get distracted from their true goal and go do the old things that have always failed. Oh, and yeah, I got a little bit ahead of myself in regards to Celestia and Luna saying that the time to retire is now. They didn't mean like right now in this episode, just rather that it's no longer like a thing that's postponed indefinitely. Rather, they have a date in mind for it because they see now that Twilight is truly ready to take over. So it could still happen during the finale or in another episode before then. Don't really know. Finale would make more sense, but if we do it before, then we got even more room in the finale for other things. So just have to see. Oh yeah, I almost forgot the holiday. Just gonna talk about this quickly. I found it rather humorous that Chrysalis made that little jab about ponies having so many holidays, and then Twilight ends up making a brand new one. Now, granted, it's more of a rename or replacement for an existing one, not an additional one, but is still kind of funny with that little bit of meta humor there. That aside, I was initially unhappy that the princesses wanted to end the Summer Sun celebration just because of their retirement. You know, because for me, it's like, isn't it more about something for the ponies to celebrate and remember than it is you? But, you know, thinking about it further, I understand why. You know, they probably felt like it would be good to continue. It wouldn't be good to continue that holiday once retired, as it would keep them more in the spotlight, and maybe they thought like that would delegitimize Twilight's reign in some way. But, you know, I never felt like they were being particularly greedy about it or anything, which is confirmed by the fact that they wanted to end it now. So I'm really happy that Twilight then took the initiative to reestablish this or established this new holiday in honor of them because, you know, they've sacrificed so much for Equestria for all this time. You know, they certainly weren't perfect leaders, and Equestria isn't perfect either, but they still accomplished a lot of good, and that deserves to be remembered. So, really happy to see that. And yeah, just another brief note. It's really interesting to see in yet another way how we've kind of come full circle in the series. This show started series premiere with Twilight being sent down to Ponyville to oversee the preparations for the Summer Sun celebration, which at that point was being held in Ponyville, or at least it's probably held, multiple places, but anyway, it was part of that. Then she's seen planning the same festival again at the beginning of Season 4, just after she had become an alicorn and was trying to start to figure out how to deal with being a princess. And now here she is, once again, planning the festival, the final occurrence of the festival, right on the eve, practically, of her officially taking over as ruler of Equestria from Celestia Luna. I mean, it's honestly kind of poetic the way this is all playing out here. You know, Twilight has just come so far, and I can't wait to see her finally reach this major milestone on this path that she started on so long ago. But yeah, that's all I got in this one. This has been one of my longer commentaries this season. Thanks for hanging in there, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this, and definitely look forward to being back soon for another reaction for you guys. So, later.